Welcome to the Property Educator. My name's Brad Howard. Last week we looked at the baby boomer generation. And look, just a reminder to anyone, if you're just picking up this video for the first time, it's always great to go back and look to my previous videos because I tend to follow them on and keep them in sequence so that people can follow through and gain their knowledge as they go. You can always look back through the Facebook page, or you can go on to our website at thepropertyeducator.com. You can also go to my YouTube channel, The Property Educator. So you can pick up at any time, you can go back and watch the previous videos that I do make public and I keep up there as long as we need to, as long as people are watching and listening. So last week we looked at the baby boomer generation and their sort of property habits and ideals. Today we're looking at Gen X. Gen X being the 35 to 50 bracket. Now it's a general bracket, sometimes it might go a little bit further than 50, but generally speaking that's where the bulk of Gen X sit. So 35-year-olds to 50-year-olds. Now with the Gen X generation, which tends to be my generation, I won't disclose my age, but then again, I do fit within that demographic, so I know it very well. So what Gen X, 35 to 50, as we know with our spending wave that I've been through previously, you're on the up to a spending wave at peak at 47. So we're going to that, but the bulk of people in the Gen X will hit that 47-year age spending age in about 2022-23. So we're now 2016, so you're looking around about 6-7 years time is when that peak spending cycle. So Gen X is not in that cycle at the moment, but it will start to gain momentum over the next few years. So you're looking at that Gen X also being a bigger population than the baby boomer. So in saying that, we could say that we're in for a better and bigger spending cycle in 6 to 7 years time than we had back in 2008. Very promising for Australia because, as I've previously said in other videos, around the world, in the Western world, we're one of the very few countries that has generations coming after the baby boomers that are actually bigger than the baby boomers. Most other places they shrink dramatically, so their spending waves are going to be much smaller in the future. Australia gets bigger each time, which is very exciting for Australia and gives us good long-term hope in our economy and also the property market. What are the Gen Xers tend to be looking for? Well, the Gen Xers predominantly are in that stage where the kids are growing up, so they're in houses, they are coping with school fees, they're coping with everything, spending on their kids, etc. to keep everything going. Generally, they're in the heaviest and hardest point in their time when dealing with property mortgages, etc. So it doesn't tend to be right now in the cycle where they're going to be going and buying a lot of other property. However, like the baby boomers did leading up to 2008, in those few years leading up, there was a massive purchase of investment property. As they started to gear up, they had the pressure had come off their mortgages, they had a little bit more money to spend, so they're out there starting to build investment property portfolio. What are the baby boomers doing now? They're tending to sell that off. However, not a great sales market in a lot of areas of Australia because there's not the appetite to buy. The appetite will come when Gen X starts to get momentum leading up to that 47-year-old age group, where they will then, as the baby boomers did, more than likely head down the path of starting to create their investment property portfolios up to a peak of around the 2022-23 period. So the baby boomers bought their investment properties, now selling off for retirement. Gen X, not in the mode just yet of starting to create their investment portfolios, but it will be something that they will look at over the next 6 to 7 years, that they will start to gain momentum and have the appetite to build their investment portfolios. They may also, at the end of that cycle, once they've got the investment portfolios and they start to see that their money and their wealth is growing, we then may see the upgrading of their houses to bigger, more luxurious type houses, and also even if they have the extra fluency of funds at that point in time, then get into the holiday market, holiday property market. So you can see patterns continue on. We've been through the baby boomers cycle, we're seeing that come off, and now we're starting to build to the Gen X property cycle, which will start to gain momentum. So properties Gen Xers will be looking at, first and foremost, they'll start to get in the investment cycle. So investment properties, traditionally your 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom type properties. I always encourage the 2-bathroom for today's modern age for the tenants. Tenants, whether they've been baby boomers who are going to downsize and rent those properties, or the younger generation coming through, it is now a standard that 2 bathrooms, not just everyone sharing the 1 bathroom. So if you're looking at buying, building properties, the 2 bathroom I always see as a very strong advantage. Then, so that's the sort of property where you're looking at investment property, predominantly around the key areas that can lead to public transport, have good public transport to them, are in areas where there's good employment opportunities, etc., so that you've always got a tenant market there. So if the Gen X are buying investment property, they want to rent it out. So they want to be buying investment property in areas that can be quite comfortably and easily rented to good tenants. So that's what your market you'll be looking at. So that's the leader, and then ultimately, when those Gen Xers have got the fluency of funds, they'll be looking for the more luxurious properties down the track. And then it moves, once they've moved through their cycle, then we go back to the downsizing after that. So in a nutshell, not highly complex, but just in the fact that that gives you an idea of what Gen X is heading towards, what their attitudes towards property will be. So the next cycle for Gen X, they'll start to build their investment portfolios. Once they've then got built some wealth, they may upgrade their property, and then if they've got extra wealth, then the holiday home comes into play. So that's where we see things going in the sort of next 6 to 8 years of the Gen X property market and Gen X attitudes towards property. So I hope that helps a little bit. Just gives you some ideas, some things to think about when you're looking at doing anything with your property and what generation you're going to cater for. So I hope you got some information out of that. Thanks and have a great day.